So next thing, then I'm gonna get them all blown out and dry. Now, I don't have a picture for you, but let's talk about this front. When I am blow drying her hair, even if she comes in with dry hair and has like a hard part, of course, when you're starting your upstyle, you're going to start asking all the questions, right? Like, okay, do you want it all up? Do you want it all down? Do you want it half up? Okay, if it's all up, do you like the tops of your ears covered? Do you like it clean around your ears? Do you like it sleek? Do you want volume? And then do they have like a certain part? Or do they want it all back off their face? Do they want some pieces down? Do they want some fringe down? You know, like you got to go through the questions. We're going to pretend today for this gal's sake, because I tend to leave a lot of the hair down. I want to show you it coming back off her face. So the key with that is not having a set part. You want to make sure that you blow dry the hair. It starts with the blow dry and the foundation, right? So I always talk about foundations, and product is a big part of our foundation, right? So you're not going to build a house and put the roof on the house first. You're going to lay the foundation to then build on to the house. So that's the same thing with products, and then also the first step of your blow dry. So right now, so I prepped this gal, and I want to talk a little bit about tools today as well. So this is going to be a highly, highly textured look. And so I don't want everything to be matchy-matchy either. And I also wanted to show you a couple different tools that I use. So there's no rule that says that you can't use different tools while working on one style. So this, for example, is a 1-inch Marcel. And then next, let me show you a flat iron. I don't care what tools you are using to achieve your look, as long as you know how to use it. So that's what matters, okay? I do encourage you to know how to use many different kinds of tools, because you never know when you're gonna show up on a site and you are only used to using your flat iron, and your flat iron just happens to go on the fritz that day. So if you have a backup iron but you're not as good with it, it's gonna take you a little bit longer. So I'm always encouraging people to use different tools. Okay, I always prep the hair, like even if I blow her out. This gal, I let her air dry last night. I gave her a nice shampoo, put her foundation mousse in, put her smooth down on, and I let her air dry, and then I finished power drying her this morning. I didn't spend too much time on the blow dry because I knew I was going to do iron work after. One thing I should mention, if you are putting product in before the blow dry, remember to do like another layer of heat protection before you do your iron work. So it could be as simple as taking lustrous spray again and spraying it on the hair that's not curled beforehand. I like to warm up the strand first and get it all smooth, and then I'll go in and put my curl in. This one I'm going to do a flat iron, so I just folded it over once. And then the ends, I'm going to go a little bit faster because I don't want the ends to be as curly. And then I'm going to encourage the curl pattern by twisting the hair up for me. And then you can see the ends are a little bit straighter. I don't want it super curly all the way to the bottom. I also want to talk about, and I've done most of this when I started. Let me turn that down a little bit. When I started, I personally like to start at the bottom and just do like U partings. So I'm starting in the nape and I sectioned a little U parting there. I tend not to do like straight across if possible, because curved lines are going to give me softness when I'm building this up style, especially if I was going to put all of this up. So I just kept doing that. I started from the bottom, then went to the next row. And that way too, I don't have to pin set. I do sometimes pin sets. Like if their hair texture is really coarse and I feel like it's going to have a hard time holding on to that curl, even if I've prepped it, and it's just super heavy, and their hair, and they're like, they come in and they're like, yeah, my hair never holds a curl. Well, first of all, that client might be a candidate for a sleeker style. But if they are not willing to go with sleek and they want curls, then that's like my cue, like, okay, I might have to take a little bit extra time and set this with actual setting clips so that that curl, we all know that as the curl cools down is really what locks that curl pattern in for us and gives us the longevity. But if their hair is pretty good at holding a curl and I can get away with just mousse and just letting their curl cool naturally. Okay, so this is a spring iron. This is obviously like a baby iron. I don't even know the size, to be honest. But again, I don't care what you're working with as long as you know how to work with it. So I'm going to put this right here. I can still smooth the hair with this iron once like this. So you can see as I put it in at the base, I start to rotate the hair even though this has a clamp. And that is why I do like to work with a Marcel. I actually don't have a Marcel that small, but you're less likely to get an indentation with Marcel than you are with a spring iron because you have full control of your clamp. But if you don't, okay, a couple different ways with this iron you can create. So I can just twist it here. And I like to start curling at the base and then work towards the ends because the ends are the most porous, dry part of the hair. So that's going to curl up right away for us, no problem. This is really in the front is where I want to create some texture. And so I might do like a whole section of these like small curls. Okay, then I can start to twist this out, give myself a little bit more, and this is going to be really textured. So I wanted to show you a couple different sizes. And then I can pull this straight there. See how textured that is? And I actually love how small that is. So I'm going to do a couple more of those. I'll just do some small ones. I'll show you another way you can, she's a little naughty up here. Naughty, naughty. All right. I do like to, if there are any knots, I like to, that's another key with this, is to get this all combed out because you don't want to be going through your iron trying to smooth it out with a knot in it. All you're going to do is you're going to, almost like ironing the shirt, like if there's a wrinkle in the shirt and you iron over the wrinkle, like if it's folded over the material, if you can picture that, and you try to iron out the wrinkle while it's still folded, you're just going to increase the crease, you know, you're just going to make it stronger. So same thing with a knot in the hair. Like if you're trying to iron out the knot, you're not going to, you're just going to iron the knot right into the hair. So here's another way. So you see I smoothed it first, got all the hair nice and warmed up. And another way is you can just take this just like a wand and twist and twist. And if you can't see, just let me know and I'll move her. And I'm going to hold out the ends so they don't get too like curly Q there. Where's everyone tuning in from? I don't know how your weather is. Mine's a little windy and cold today. My weather cannot make up its mind. Last week it was like 90. This week it's like 60. But I probably shouldn't complain because it's probably still snowing in some places. Okay, and then I'm just going to release that there. If I needed to smooth these ends a little bit, I'll just put it in my iron and give it a little turn like that. And then it's not as straight. So you can see that one's like pretty curly, but it's okay. Let me do another small one. I'm kind of liking these small ones. And I have a lot of like bigger ones underneath, so it'll be fun to have like some more intense texture on the top. The other thing, like when I am putting in like texture, like when you see a textured updo, something that's like really big for me is try to start with your sectioning and your curls as clean as possible to begin with. Because as you start working with the hair, naturally you'll get flyaways. You'll start using products and that could give it a little bit more of a matte look. So really try to stay clean as possible at the beginning, and then that way you don't end up with like just this giant frizzy, like there's a difference between texture and frizz, and so sometimes it's hard to see a textured look when really it just looks like a frizz ball. So I always recommend starting as clean and as smooth as possible because it's naturally going to get a little roughed up. Okay, let's see. I think I don't want her to have like a center part here. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually take the small iron. Let me smooth her really quick. So it's just like, it's almost like an ironing. And I want to be like around the hairline, you want to be mindful about like where your curls. So like if I put the iron in here, just know that the wave pattern, it's going to create a wave pattern going up that way. If I put the iron in here, know that the wave pattern is going to come forward first. So we just have to be mindful where we want to see this. I don't want her to have like a hard part there. So I'm actually going to come from behind the section, okay, and I'm just going to wrap this way. Move that down. So the curl pattern is still going to be tight, but she's just not going to have a hard part in the front. Excuse me. All right. Okay, and then let me just curl this little end. I'm going to keep going in the way of the curl pattern, and then I'm going to pull that back like that. So there, you can see she's got a little bit of volume, and we got curls. Okay, so then what I would do is I would next go in with Lustrous finishing spray. And even though this is a finishing spray, it's still super workable. It's not like I'm locking in the set just yet. I'm going to give it a nice set or a nice spray. I'm kind of like a good distance away. And again, I'm not like spraying it down, but from here, I would set it with Lustrous finishing spray. Excuse me. And then I would try to let this set for 20 minutes if you can, but 10 minutes is okay if you can only get away with 10 minutes. So I'm obviously not going to let it set for that long. The rest has been sitting for quite a while. So let's start in the back, and I want to show you how I'm going to start pulling that apart. So all I'm going to do is I can just use my fingers if I want, and I'm just, to give myself even more texture, is I'm just going to loosely grab the curl and pull from the base and pull the curls apart. Okay, I'm not like raking through this and combing out all of my curl that I put in, that I've worked to put in. You can also use like a tail comb if you want, and just start to loosely, but again, if it starts to like frizz up, still keep it as, you can still reinforce these small curls with your fingers. So I'll just start to pull this apart, and I'm going to go kind of quick just for time so we can start building this look. And you can see how this is starting to build out, which is exactly what I want. And it's textured and it's not losing its curl. So I'll just use a tail comb. And the nice thing is under here as well, I used different irons. I used all 3 irons. And I also alternated my curls. So sometimes I would go forward, sometimes I would go back, sometimes I would go sideways, under. It doesn't, when you're creating these highly textured looks, it's almost like you want to mimic a real curl pattern, which is never a perfect, like uniform curl pattern. When we have uniform curl patterns, that's where we start to create those like Hollywood waves glam look. when we want the curl pattern to set all together. When we want it to start to build and for it to look more textured, the more pieces we have that bump against each other instead of forming a uniform pattern, the more textured it's going to look. Okay, so I'm still just pulling these apart. I'm going to go a little bit faster just for the sake of your eyeballs. Okay, so the next thing I would do is I do love me some texture spray. So even though I want to keep it clean, I am going to add in a little bit of texture spray to give me a little bit more guts. So let me do these top ones. Ooh, I'm liking it. And the other thing is I do always recommend, like, even when you get to this part of the set or like combing out the set, is to still leave on your iron because there might be something you want to touch up. And so you're not going to want to like turn your iron on again and then wait for it to warm up. So I'm just taking out these front ones. I'm just taking the comb. Okay. Next, I'm going to go in with my fave dry texture spray. And I'm going to start with the underneath. And again, I'm going to lift gently just so I don't start creating frizz. And I'm just building a little bit more texture into the hair and guts so that this can last her all night. Because I don't know about your brides, but my brides are rocking out and dancing. Ooh, look at this. See it? Well, if I got her in the frame, you'd see it more, but I love all this texture here and the different curl patterns. All right. Okay. All right, let's keep this simple now. Let's start building a fun little, so I'm going to try to face her to start, and then I'll turn her around. Actually, I'm going to take off this ring. All right. So I want this to start coming back and looking just loose and soft. And so I'll start running my hands through it and pick the hair up. I know I should have shown you a picture before, but I didn't pull it. I know what this is going to end up looking like. So I'm going to explain what to leave out as we go. But I did not show you a picture. So I'm going to start kind of by taking a section here and we're going to create a ponytail. And so I'm kind of just gathering the hair. She's going to be all back and I don't want it too perfect. And so I'm kind of just loosely picking up this hair. It's nice because I've put in the texture spray, so I've kind of created that stability for me. All right. And right here is looking really nice. And so all I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pin this. If you can also do a ponytail here. It's hard without a mirror here. So right here, there's like a little part. I'm going to show you how I would adjust that. If I don't want to see a little part there, what side is on? This side. If I don't want to see the little part, I'm going to just scoop up this hair and a little bit of the hair up top. And then I'm going to lift it up forward and I'm going to back comb right there, just slightly. You see that? So I picked up a little bit of the hair below, a little bit of the hair above that hard part, and I'm going to over direct forward and back comb just slightly to tease those two sections together. There we go. Then I'll bring it back. There we go. And now I don't have like such a hard part there. I can even do like a little bit of spray. Perfect. Okay. Another key tip I have for you if you are doing proms and bridals is this is one of my favorite things to do, which is just taking a big donut and then putting the different kinds of pins in. I do like to group them. So like these are my big hairpins. These are just long bobby pins that kind of match this gal. So I added them this morning because they're kind of like a red that I had. And that's another trick that I love using, is trying to find different colored bobby pins for different colored hair whenever I am doing upstyling. I am the queen of hiding pins though, but just in case, it's nice to have pins that match the color of their hair. And then, I got my short bobbies and whatever else you need. So this is one thing, and I just keep it on my tray, and it's much easier to grab the pins so that I don't put them in my teeth like I used to when I was fresh out of Barbie school, out of beauty school. So let's see. I'm just going to kind of gather this hair here and here. So again, just kind of like this section, I'm kind of bringing it back together. I like the little bit of texture coming up. I actually did something like this on one of my college girlfriends that got married, and I was already a hairstylist when she got married, so it's really fun to do her hair for her wedding. And she had a really highly textured look, and I literally used this iron on her whole entire head, and she was blonde, and it was just so pretty, just like all flowing back. Okay, so I just put one pin in there. I'm going to gather up the other side. Oh, thanks. Okay, just kind of pulling it back, checking my shape. So that is one thing that is in common with working quicker and working slower, is that you want to be constantly checking your shape and asking your client if they like where the style is headed, especially like with a highly textured look that may have like more pinning in it. Because if you get all the way done and then ask them, and this is your first section, and then you've got everything else pinned, and all of a sudden they're like, well, I'm not really liking this, and you have to undo the whole thing, it can be a little bit frustrating. So that's where I'm going to start there. I'm liking the texture and the volume she has in the front. It's simple. She's got a little bit of movement. It's very classic. Okay. So let me turn her for us. Oh, I would love to, Laura. I would love to. Okay, so next I'm just going to do some simple twists. I mean, twists are always a really beautiful, simple way. And as you can see, like as I was putting this got a little fussed up. So I'll just take my tail comb again. I don't want to take out too much of the texture, and kind of smooth it like as I work. Again, going back. So let me start with this side. So one thing, I am going to make sure that I leave out some hair here, and you'll see why at the end, but let's just leave that out. And I'm just going to pick up some hair here. Yep, that looks good. And I'll just create a little simple twist. So I just am going to twist it like this. Make sure, again, going back to it being clean. And I'm going to bring it over just to lock in this pin section here. And then because I have my texture spray and everything in here, before I pin it, I can slightly pull this back out. And again, create a little bit more texture and looseness before I pin anything in. And then we'll just take a little bobby and pin this in. I'm going to show you when I bring the other section across how I pin that in exactly. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Kind of turn her. Let's see what hair I left out, kind of on the diagonal. Excuse me. All right. So I got my two sections here. Hi, everyone. And I'm just crossing over, and twisting this section, keeping it kind of clean. And before I pin it, I am going to go back. I mean, you could totally leave this tight like this if you wanted. That's a nice thing about, divide. I talk a lot about divide and conquer, uh, like when you're working in upstyle or really anything, cutting, coloring. But it's all about taking different techniques and then knowing where to apply them. So all I'm doing is I'm holding on to the end and pinch and pull. And I really want this to be really a textured look, nothing too tight. And that's why I'm going to pull this all out like that. Okay. So when I do a bobby pin, if you've never seen this trick before, I'm just going to take a regular bobby pin. I'm not going to open it up actually, and I'm going to go the opposite way of where I'm going to land. So typically I like to work to a foundation, and a lot of times I work with ponytails and upstyling. In this one in particular, I'm not, but I know my foundation, I already have some pins in here. So my foundation typically is in the center of wherever I'm building. So I want my pin to finish going towards the center. I don't want it to be hanging out because then it's less likely to pop back out. If I can get this end to secure into a foundation towards my middle, then I have a better chance of the updo lasting through all the crazy dancing that she's about to do. Okay, so I like to put the pin in, catch some of the hair that I am pinning, and then catch some of the hair underneath. And then I'm going to flip it and reverse it like Missy Elliott. And if you don't know who Missy Elliott is, you're definitely not almost 40 like me. All right. So that's pretty secure there. I'll do one more and I'll kind of crisscross applesauce because I do have children. So that used to be my song, especially when they were learning how to go to school. So I'm going to further secure it by crisscrossing the bobby pins and locking it in that way, but still the same way. I'm going away from the base. I know that my first pin ended in on an angle like this. So my next pin is still going to be going towards the foundation, but it's going to cross like that. And then I'm going to drop it. There we go. So going to catch some of the hair underneath, on top, underneath, flip it and reverse it like Missy Elliott, and then push it in and crisscross applesauce. There we go. And I am really like, and I mean, honestly, you guys, like this could be it. Like you could stop there. I'm going to keep going and show you guys a couple more things, but this could be it. She just has like a highly textured, you could check the balance here. She could have a half up, half down. And like, this is really secure. She could really rock it and have a lot of texture. And this will last her the whole night if we've done the set like this. Let's do a couple more fun things. Woo! It's Thursday. Oh, this morning we were driving to school. My daughter, my teenager, she's in 8th grade, and I go, it's Thursday, right? And she's like, yeah. She's like, which is really disappointing because I thought it was Friday. I was like, oh yeah, I know what you mean, bud. I know what you mean. Okay. So next, I still want to make sure these are down here and I have that on the same side. And then let's just gather this here into a little ponytail. And I'm going to use an elastic. So I'm just going to use a little elastic here and secure this ponytail. Nice and easy. I'm just going to do twice. Okay. When I first started doing hair, I didn't have nails, so updos were much easier for me. Now with nails, like I actually have gotten so used to this in doing hair and hair cutting, styling, color, even like picking up my foils. I had a broken nail the other day and picking up my foil was like a nightmare. But the only place where it gets me is of styling and little hair ties and jewelry, like putting jewelry on. It's such a Killer. Okay, so I just did a little ponytail there, and all I'm gonna do is to hide this rubber band is kind of flip it under. So I'm just gonna pull it through itself. I'm sure you've seen this. I'll give it a little tug to hide that ponytail holder, and I can create a little bit of texture by pulling this out. And it just creates some nice softness there. Okay, let's gather another section here. And we're gonna really just create a cute little elegant, yeah, those really elegant like ponytails that you're seeing for weddings. So this is nice because their hair is still like long and down, but it's more secure for dancing. I'm all about dancing, by the way, if you couldn't tell. I actually sent my best friend a video of me just dancing this morning because I'm going to see her on Sunday. And I asked her, I'm like, can we have a dance party? I'm like really craving some dancing lately. So if you're ever at big event with me and you want to dance with me, you know where to find me. I'll be on the dance floor. I had an amazing time this past February in Vegas on the dance floor. I know I got to dance with some really epic stylists. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same thing here. Kind of pull. I twisted it under, and then I'm going to pull this back out and give it a little bit of texture there. All right, I'm liking it. Okay, let's do maybe one more ponytail. So I'm just kind of gathering hair from underneath. So taking that section and taking a section from underneath here and then pulling it on top there. And then let's do one last one. Okay, really loose pony. Hi. Okay, come on, little thing. All right, I still have my hole there in the middle. I don't know if it's easier, you can put your two fingers up like that and then pull the ponytail up and just pull it through itself there. And then to move it up a little bit, we're going to just lightly pull on the ends, and then you can see how that starts to pull up for us. And then I'm really just going to softly pull this all back out to create fullness and texture and make it look larger than life. Remember too, like for photography purposes, like even if they don't like a ton of volume, just remind your clients that when they take pictures, everything is flattened. So the bigger their hair is, the more normal it will look in an image. There is a fine balance. So I'm liking that. You know, so now we've got this like elegant, secure little ponytail. If there's anything that's like a little bit wackadoo, we can again go back in with our fine tooth comb and kind of like stretch that out. Next step. Okay, who knows what these are? Again, I'm almost 40, so topsy-turvy is what it used to be called. We're gonna take this little guy. Let me use the purple one because it'll be easier to see. And all I'm gonna do now is I've got everything like looking how I like it, is I'm just gonna start, again, the more pieces we take, so the more we break it up and the more individual pieces there are, the more textured it's gonna look. So I'm gonna start taking some of these pieces and I'm gonna feed it through the topsy-turvy, and now I'm gonna just like sew it into the style. So I'm just gonna go through a piece of hair there, and that's gonna pull that right through. And it's just gonna start to create some like softness, and I'll take another little piece, take another little piece here. And if they want some hair down in the front too, that's totally fine. So I'll feed it through the topsy-turvy. And then wherever I want to see this hair looped through and nice and romantic. So I wanted that one to cross over top there, and then I'll push that one up there. And then too, like if you didn't like it like sticking out like that, like I wanted it to cross there. Now there's nothing that says like I can't sew this in. It's basically like sewing it into the style, sew this in somewhere else too. So there. Now I'm creating even more added texture. We're almost there. Let's just do 2 more here. And it just gives it a nice soft look. Let's pull it down through here. All right. And let's see. And you can move this around too before you sew it in to see like kind of like where you want to see those pieces fall maybe. Maybe I want it kind of loose down here actually. It's really, and so it's nice to have this like little tool. And it just adds another element or layer of texture. And then I would take my lustrous, and if I'm liking how that looks, I want some of these pieces soft and romantic there. I take my lustrous finishing spray and start to lock that in. I want to see a little bit more pieciness here. Yeah, almost there. All right, this one I'm going to do a little bit faster for time's sake. We're just going to do 2 pieces on this side. So let's just go in right there. There's a piece. And since I left a little down on that side, let's leave a little down on this side. Oh, you're looking cute, girl. This is the one thing people ask me all the time if I'd grow my hair back out. One, no, because I don't look good with long hair. But I would say like hats and being able to have like an updo are the two things I miss the most about long hair. I love wearing baseball caps, and I don't know, I just look weird with baseball caps forward now with my short hair, unless I wear it back. And so, yeah, I miss being able to do up styles and actually French braids. I miss braids too, but there it is, you guys. Okay, so I'd lock that in there, and we got a highly textured look here. Now, the last thing that I'm so excited to share and show you is this is actually really shiny because lustrous finishing spray is so gorgeous. But if you are using like a lot of texture spray or a lot of dry shampoo, like especially if they came in with oily hair and you're like trying to soak up their oil with dry shampoo because you don't have time to shampoo them, sometimes it can mattify the hair, right? It can make it look a little bit more matte. And so, let's see which one it is. This one. Oh my gosh. If you have not seen this, this is my newest favorite product. 1, because of the smell, and 2, because of the shine it gets. I was just at a birthday party on Saturday, actually, and especially being a platinum, it's not easy to keep shine in the hair. And this girl came up to me and was just like, I have to know, like, how do you keep your hair so shiny? Like, and she was a hairdresser, so she's like, especially like being bleached out. And I'm like, oh, Lonza. So yeah, I just want to show you the difference in the shine. I love how fine the mist comes out, and you don't need a ton. I probably went a little overboard there, and it just gives it this beautiful shine. And that's really what, honestly, our clients, not even just our bridal clients, but any of our clients behind the chair, like this one is such an easy one to sell because everyone wants more shine. So if you haven't tried this, Lustrous Shine Spray smells amazing. I know you can smell it through the camera right now if you have smelled this before, but it's nice and lightweight. It's for any hair type. They can have fine hair. They don't have to worry about it being weighed down. It is practically weightless, so beautiful, and it just finishes off your style and really, like, yeah, it just takes the style to another level. So that is it, you guys. Those are my key tips for a highly textured style. And I hope you had fun today. I'm so glad to see everyone. Thank you for tuning in.